night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it bluff. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it bluff. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it bluff. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it bluff. Hey, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it bluff. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it bluff.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a great night. I am stoked for this evening. I got Sammy T Mafia backstage. We are going to be going over the content from last night, which thank you to everybody that hit the like button and shared that out. That was epic. The response to everybody actually sitting down, paying attention, looking at the 1112 footage with an open mind really shows how manipulated this entire narrative is. And you're going to have to forgive me this evening. I have a killer sore throat. So if I sound like I'm a little bit quiet or if I got a scratchy throat, that's why. I don't know what happened. I felt fine this morning. And after lunchtime, it has just been going downhill. So apologies for that in advance. But this evening, I want to talk about these leaks, all of this random info that seemed to make its way into the mainstream media and the narrative that everyone considered as fact, when it's either been not a fact or we still don't know, right? For example, to start this live, let me ask you this question. Was there somebody who walked into the crime scene of 1122 King Road, so the King Road house where the Idaho 4 were, and passed out? Is that the reason for the 911 call? Type of 1 for a yes, type of 2 for a no, type of 3 if you don't know, but you heard it. Like, is that confirmed? And it's kind of crazy just to see the random numbers coming in. A lot of twos, a lot of threes. Everybody heard it, but like, what is it? Is that really what it is? Or, you know, how did that become such a rumor if that's all that it is? Why was that never addressed officially? I would find it hard to believe that they would release the 911 call for somebody who walked into a quadruple homicide and passed out as the 911 call to 4 people that were just brutally stabbed. So, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Before I go ahead and bring Sammy on up, please hit that like button, hit subscribe if you have not. If this is your first time tuning into the Hive Mind, I'm your host, Birdie. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. We like to critically think. As of late, we have been diving deep into the Idaho 4 case. So if you're familiar with it or if you're not, buckle up, I guess, because we like to think differently about it. We think past the headlines. So if you're easily rattled or if you're offended on behalf of others, you're probably not going to like this stream. We like to think, what if, and corroborate things that make those what ifs at least reasonable, depending on who you ask. And so that's what we do here. We do that every evening, like I said, at 7 p.m. Central. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring Sammy on up right away. What up, Miss Sammy T Mafia?
Hi, Hive. So happy to see everybody. We're in black today. We're men in black, women in black.
Men in Black, hey?
No, women. But
No,
you know,
no.
the movie, the Will Smith movie, when Will Smith wasn't such a douche, and I actually liked him.
He did. He
I
got a
loved
little bit
that
weird ever since that
movie.
slap. Ever since the slap.
Nah, I'd say it'd been going on a little bit longer than that. And then that horrible rap song that recently came out, but rest in peace to that career. Oof.
Well, he started off with a decent rap song of Miami. That song goes hard.
It started with summertime and like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, obviously, but I always
Yeah.
like getting jiggy with it. That was like my 6th
Oh,
grade
that's a good one.
anthem.
But the slap was like the exclamation mark, in my opinion.
That was so many things in once. It was like, I don't know what that was. I just felt terrible for Chris Rock. It was like, was this some sort of ritual? Like, what was that? What was that? Was it because Jada is a fucking witch? I don't know. Wild.
I don't know either. You heard me, or you and I
Hi.
at least, we talked backstage, but you had heard me just say to the Hive, my throat is killing me. So
Oh, yeah.
I was telling you backstage,
Poor honey.
recap last night. I know you had watched the stream. We went over
Yeah.
the, like, what we're calling looped footage. Why do you think it is that either A, a lot of people maybe never noticed it until that stream, or
Well, I didn't
B,
notice it till I was high as shit on Saturday. I'm dead ass serious, people. Okay, so my girlfriend was in town from California, and we decided to take it back to 2010 and do a little bit of psychedelics. Now, let me just say, when it's not like real bad psychedelics, it's like a little bit of Molly and something else. I'm not really sure, but it worked out great. Anyways, I get home and everything is like perfectly in color, like every color, every line, everything's like so vivid. You're almost like seeing like a cat and you have hearing like a cat. I mean, I could hear everything. It was just so crazy. So I go, I want to watch the Idaho 4 footage when I'm like this. So I did, and I said to my fiance, I go, videotape me watching this to see what I pick up on. And the thing I picked up on is I said, they're looping the audio. They're looping the video. They're looping the audio. I go, here's the same car. It's coming around again. Here's that same gravel sound. Here's that same door shutting. Here's that same light. It's flashing in the same spot, same place. And I was like, there's no way that this is, I go, are you seeing this? And he's like, obviously you're seeing a lot more. But
you were though.
I was. And That's the craziest part about that too. It's like, wow, was this always here and I just never noticed because I've watched this footage a million times. The fact that you caught on to it without being high means you're really in, like, your mind is like, wow, open, you know.
Yeah. The fifth entry gave it away. No car naturally
No,
speeds up. And I picked that entry because I'm like, that, in my opinion, looks extremely manipulated. So if I can get all the other ones to match that, what does that say?
well, Rick said, because you said the thing about the diesel engine, he said it, but it doesn't sound like a diesel engine. Then he goes, wait a minute. It sounds like it's, if it were, he said, it sounds like they slowed it down.
Right.
And I go, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly what they did. And I also was reading like this thing about tampering with evidence. And they said that the active approaches for video forgery and stuff, they said active techniques for detecting forgeries employ pre-embedded information. For example, a digital watermark, a digital signature to accent the authenticity of content, ownership, integrity, copyright violations, blah, blah, blah. And I thought about it. How did they get that? How did they get those videos, right? We don't really know the chain of custody of all that, do we?
Mm-mm.
We don't know the
No.
videographer or the person who put it on the thumb drive to give to the defense. We don't know any of this, really. And remember, they kept giving, like, they got the video and then they gave it back, or they got access, but then said they didn't have it. It was like everything that we have surrounding the Linda Lane parking lot and that one, porch one, that the story for how it was obtained is fucked up.
Well, it is. And that's something that as of late, I've really tried to kind of hone in on, which is if people want to say that it's manipulated, that's fine. But then you have to say that everything is manipulated. And the same people that have been lying to you for however long are the same people writing police reports 3 years later in August. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and also writing things like, added on, "Oh, we're, adding a memo about said piece of evidence in 2025."
Right.
Right? We're adding, like, I thought the discovery period was over. How are you allowed to keep attaching things to evidence? I don't understand. Or what do they call it? Not self-approving, but, like, we're something for all this evidence, like self-reporting. Okay. Self-reporting?
Well, it doesn't make sense.
So you sign a document that says this is what it is and nobody needs to check it?
Well, I want to know. So going back to like the leaks, right? In general,
Mhm.
if the footage was leaked, because if you think back to the beginning, that 1112 audio was leaked. And if you remember, there was a clip of a news reporter. I believe that True Crime Design actually had a clip of it, and I have it loaded up. Well, I know she did because I have it loaded up here. I'll play it. And this is what was said about that audio initially. Okay, so let me show you this. This is pretty
Interesting.
crazy.
Viral posts, multiple viral posts regarding alleged audio. Remember in the affidavit, it says at 4:17 a.m., the neighbors to my left here have a surveillance video camera that picked up audio from Xana Kernodle's room about 50 feet away. About 4:17, hearing the dog begin to bark, hearing a loud thud and what sounded like either whispers or whimpering at around 4:17 during the time of the murders. So circulating online are posts like the ones you see on the screen of this alleged audio of that surveillance video here. And so being on the ground, I spoke with the neighbors here. Paul's going to pan over here how close this home is, this blue
Jesus
home that we've seen next
Christ.
to the crime scene, where that surveillance video would be. I caught the people living there walking out earlier, and they have debunked that audio. It is not the audio from that surveillance video. So I think that's important to clear up because those posts have gone so viral. But you can see behind me just how close that blue home where that surveillance video would be to Xander Kernodle's room right up there on the second floor to be able to pick.
So that's interesting,
That is interesting.
right? And I want to know. So this woman claims to have talked to them. By the way, that like camera pan
Mhm.
really shows you how close that house is.
I thought the same thing when I was watching your episode with DA this week, I believe it was,
Yeah.
and he was going around the neighborhood, and Rick and I were just mouth agape because when you take it from a different angle, like a cell phone camera, it becomes even more narrow, in my opinion, and more stacked up on top of each other. And I was like, this is wild how close everything is. Everything seemed to me to be within a reasonable distance when I'm watching news footage of it. But when you're watching cell phone video of this or just like that camera shot, you're like, get the fuck out of here. These people were on top of each other.
Right. And I think what Big J Money 83 said is, bro, the Moscow body cams make everything so far away. Everything is so close. I think body cams have like this ultra wide angle lens. They obviously want to capture the largest picture that they can for the
Mhm.
sake of lawsuits, protection, whatever it is, just surveillance in a way. Right. But it doesn't necessarily represent when you're standing there from how it looks like through your own eyes.
Yeah, it's a bit of like a fishbowl, you know?
Right.
It
Right.
fe
So,
it and the far away things, I feel like it's pointless too in some ways because it's like you can't even really see what's going on from that far away. So if somebody's ducking down, are you really seeing it? Because even if you see a shape of somebody far away and you're like, "I'm pretty sure that was somebody over there," it's not sharp enough to even make that claim, and nobody would accept that claim in court either.
well, that's I agree with that. And I think that that's what's really reinvigorated me about the footage and the audio is this. I am not saying that the audio and the video is legit. I am acknowledging it has been manipulated. 100%. I went as granular as I could last night and I thought that would be a good time to have you on right after because we were texting. I actually
Oh,
called
yeah.
Sammy the night before and she was like, make sure that you let the video clips do the talking. Like put extra text on the screen with timestamps, things like that. And I
You
and
did
I
a great
did.
job. It was I was like, "This has to be super fluid," you know, give a basic rundown and then have the videos do the talking for you and then kind of go back into it because this needed to be out there. And for the people who are so like married to the documents all of a sudden, like the documents, see this matches the document, like, okay, we get it. There's some things that match up. Great. Does this mean that we're just discounting this?
Well, there's things that are in the video that would match up too. Same thing with the audio. You just saw that last clip that I played, 417, the thud. Well, okay. I
Okay,
think that I
right,
showed last night 1112 is extremely manipulated. So,
right.
how do we know?
And if they lied about like Candace Owens always says, if you start lying about little things, what else are you lying about? And that's why you just open up this can of worms. And I don't understand this recent push to keep the lid on to a certain extent. Nobody's saying go off into conspiracy land. Nobody's screaming like it's the Jews, like, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not what we're doing.
Well, and you know, that's ultimately again, not to keep bringing up the theme of the leaks, but it's like, are they leaks or are they put out at a certain time in a certain light to make them seem like they are leaks? Like there's an entire narrative behind a certain piece of something that's
I
real, but it's framed in a different timeline. You know what I mean?
I honestly think the leak came from the idea that they wanted to pre-bunk people putting things out.
Yes.
So what they're doing is
Yes.
basically saying is, see, you can't trust the internet, guys. You
Right.
can't trust your eyes and ears because right out the gate, we had an actual leak that was probably audio taken from maybe another crime, let's say, and it was juxtaposed with the video surveillance. And so if somebody on TikTok can do that to you, then everything else that's out there that is shady that we worked on, don't trust it. So only come to us if you want information.
You just said what I was trying to say in a sentence. they're pre-bunking it. That's what they're doing. And I think that's what a lot of this case is. Now, there's evidence, there's blood, there's other things that are still redacted that make no sense. I don't understand how that is possible. I'm not.
They're still they just
Yeah,
filed motions today, I believe, or yesterday was it? They're trying to seal evidence. Like,
I don't
what?
understand it.
He's in prison for life. Why do you need to seal it?
Well, and again, this is not. I'm gonna do my own thing. That at the end of the day, when it comes to how my brain works, like I'm gonna go with how I'm thinking, right? And like, why why are they doing that? And why am I having these thoughts about that? Meaning, this can't be straightforward. I've accepted that. I've accepted it for a long time, and I actually have fought against that. And it's not for everybody. But you can't tell me that, given the narrative with how clean it is, all of the documents, all of the video footage, I've said this till I could say this till I'm blue in the face. We don't know what happened. Even
Right.
a shred of evidence. It's very obvious if you have looked at this case at all, Brian didn't do it. That's not what we're debating.
Right.
We're trying to figure out what
Why?
actually happened and why. Yes, why actually before even what, right? Why?
And although, and by the way, if they didn't get the people that really did this, how much power do those people have in that area? And
Well,
if this
a lot.
happens again, who's going to be the next Brian Koberger or the Richard Allen or the Karen Reed? I mean, this is why we don't stop.
You know, one thing that I know people talk about a lot, but I don't know if people understand that it's on that same level. What other high profile cases have they torn the crime scene down for? Sandy
Oh,
Hook,
yeah.
9/11.
Yeah.
Did they tear down
Oklahoma
Uvalde?
City bombing, I think they got rid of a lot. They didn't want
Uvalde
people
or no?
testing certain things for that, I remember, because I remember there was that guy, he spent his whole life
Charlie
investigating that.
Kirk?
Oh, yeah, they paved right over that the week of. Oh, yeah, we had that job lined up. Wasn't there just a schmurder right there? What are you talking about? We can't push off the pavers for a week? Are you kidding me?
But that it's a pattern that you can't just like not include that in the pattern. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether it's that or not, it does fit into that pattern. Right? It
Yeah.
does. There's it's high profile.
If it's very much into the JFK-like pattern, in my opinion. We have your
V-
decoy boys, like
Yep.
the frat boys, like the George Zins. In Kennedy's situation, it would be your Oswald and your Jack Ruby, right? You got your decoy boys. And then you have the people that surround the situation to cover it up, which would be the, anti-Koberger podcasters and news people and the mainstream media narrative who just parrots literal bulletins posted. Like, they don't do any digging. The only one was Brian Enton, and I'm sorry, that was a little shameful. He did a shitty job.
It's just people can't hear you or I say that and not get triggered. But it is true.
Like, for example, when they were knocking on the doors of the frats the day after, and I want to say it was Brian Enton who was getting that standoffish president of Sigma Chi, and he was asking him questions, and he's like, I just really want to get out of here. I don't really want to talk. We were told or whatever. Okay. If I were a real reporter, I would be getting the addresses of all those kids' houses and going to their homes on Thanksgiving and be like, do you have any comment? Do you know where Xana and Ethan were? I mean, what happened to journalism? What the hell?
Well,
They're clearly
journalism.
not traumatized. They were partying the next week.
I said this a while ago. I said journalism has become marketing for the narrative. That's it. It's really all
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. Like, real journalism is dead. And you want to know why? Because they literally killed all the journalists that did real journalism, or they've blacklisted them, they've extorted them, they have, done something to expose them, whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah, they're
And
murdered in Gaza. They're murdered in Ukraine. Anybody trying to expose the money laundering and the genocide, bye. See you later. Oops, you blew up.
well, and it's kind of, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. So don't let either of
Mhm.
our brains take us there. But it's like, if you are over the age of 40, 50, 50, there is like a 99% chance that the talk show host or the anchor
Mhm.
that you watched that night was working for the CIA. Like
Oh, yeah.
documented.
Totally.
That's
Yep.
not crazy shit. Like, you can go look that up.
You
It's,
still are.
I just think of Anderson Cooper and all that shit that I saw. Now my brain is going down that rabbit hole of
But
like his
when you
background and shit.
I know, the Vanderbilt legacy.
Yeah.
So when you said that somebody was passed out on the 911 call, when you were talking about that in the beginning of the show, I was thinking about the Banfield phone call for the alcohol offense. And I really wonder if that's why the cops were called there, because we never heard that 911 phone call either. And by the way, who made that phone call? Because that area looked pretty sparse that evening. I didn't see a lot of people out and about, but it's a college area. Do you foresee somebody in that area of that apartment complex by that Banfield just calling up the cops and saying, I think somebody might not be 21 and is drinking beer? I mean, does that make any sense to anybody? So then I wondered, was that really what that 911 phone call was about? Or was there something else that happened and they just so happened to do some bullshit pullover of kids with alcohol afterward?
Well, didn't they say, I could be
No, I
mistaken.
don't use drugs frequently. Jesus Christ.
Did somebody just comment that?
Yeah.
Um, didn't they say in the report though that they were doing, like, they were looking for underage drinkers in like plain clothes? I could have swore I
Yeah.
saw that. So to your
Um,
point, that's right. What, I doubt anybody called.
but if that was true, then how many pullovers did you do that night with underage kids drinking? Because that would be one. And then somebody who stole a sign. Like, so I'm not really seeing the connection here. Like, what was your big heist of drunken college kids that evening? And what a weird neighborhood to be doing that in, too. Wouldn't you think you would be doing that more towards the clubs?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry if you guys just heard that. I accidentally played a video in the background. I I wanted to show you guys this. So, speaking of the Banfield, didn't even
Mm-hmm.
plan this. I'm not talking about the Delta yet. I I chose to back off the Delta for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to prove, or at least not prove, in my mind prove, but show the work, show at least as good of receipts as I could that you can't believe these freaking timestamps up here. I would even
Well,
argue too, when I zoom in, Sammy, look at this. I could see, doesn't it look like there's pixels around the letters?
I was going to say, like, in that PDF document, we'll go over it after we do this, but like, it goes through how you know if an audio or a visual thing you're looking at is credible. And this PDF document I was reading through today is super thorough. And I was like, oh, there's something wrong with this video. There's something wrong with this audio. And it points out how you can tell. And like, what it actually, I'm not a math person, but it gives you the equations you can put in if you're a coder to figure it out. So I was like, if I'm going to do anything on the weekend, I'm putting the theories in that like 140-page document, downloading this Idaho 4 thing and putting it through these tests that they said to do in order to prove why, by the way, why wouldn't the defense do this? In my opinion, I still have yet to see the police file on metadata. Like, where is that?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's my question too, is why didn't the defense do this? And this clip, again, this is not anything that I'm going to put out fully for the Delta yet. I just want people to see this. Like, people can hate on it all you want about putting filters on and audio stuff and whatever, but all I'm really doing is just showing what was happening and making it easier to see, right? Like, does that make sense? So,
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed this, but the windows in the corner there, like on the left-hand side, there's that one part, I wrote it down what time it was, but you actually can see 3 people
oh,
going
that's what this is.
into.
Watch this.
Yeah,
Watch this. It's 3. People think it's 4, but if it is 4, that's even more interesting because when you line up the delta, do you want to know what that takes you to? That takes you to the fucking Banfield Runners, dude, which is
interesting.
crazy. So you see this. Oh shit, one second. I got to press a button. So, I put it up on my phone. I got to just press upload it quick. I got to upload it quick. I hate that my voice hurts. It's making me like self-conscious about talking because I don't want to like
I'm like
crack
an
my voice.
old school gargler. Like, everybody always is like, "Oh, I love these cough drops or this or the throat spray." I just do like salt water, warm salt water, and plain ass gargling. But I haven't had a sore throat in a while. Watch I jinx myself. I hate that. I'm such a baby.
Let me find it again.
I hate the way that cherry like throat spray tastes. It's like that's actually worse for me than anything. It's like that's torture. Oh, I
Oh,
like honey
dude.
and ginger. I like drinking honey and ginger tea. I drink that
Yeah.
all day sometimes with like a little bit of cayenne pepper in it.
Cayenne pepper.
Yeah. A little bit of
I had
lemon.
a I had a massive panic attack one time before surgery
Ooh,
because
really?
they had to like put a scope down my throat.
Oh God.
And I hate that numbing spray.
Mm-hmm.
And literally they did this numbing spray. I was like trying to play it cool. And I don't like when I can't feel air or like a
Mm-hmm.
breath.
Yep.
So I've literally like I'm trying so hard to not panic, and then right as I started to, I like woke up in the PACU. Like I was
Oh
like, "Oh
my
shit, thank
gosh.
God."
I can't stand at the dentist. I don't know if you're this way, but that sucker thing, like, and it feels like I can't breathe for some reason when they do it, and like your teeth or your gums get dry, and I feel like I'm being suffocated with it, and I'm like, I just like push my hand. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm such a baby. You'd
All right,
think
this
like dental work would get easier with time, but they just have not improved it that much. At least for us peasants, they haven't. I don't know. When
right.
celebrities seem to get dental work, I'm like, where is this dentist's office? Why have I never had this luxury experience before at a dental office?
No kidding, right? All right. Let's watch this quick.
One.
Oh, hang
See,
on.
then you see one person in there.
I had it sped up because I was listening to the audio. So let me put it way down. This is at 0.25.
There's one.
Sorry, restarting. That was one.
Then there's see somebody's inside. They
I
went
think
past
that
the
was the
window.
shadow in front of the car light, though.
I don't know.
This is too slow. But here
Yeah.
comes another person.
For being slowed down, they're going real fast.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna start it over. I'm gonna do it on 0.5. Fuck me, dude. Sorry. All right. 1.
2. See? Because they're talking.
2,
4,
3.
2, 4, 5,
It's a lot, dude.
6. Or no,
But I
that's
think,
light.
well, I
That's
think
light.
that, so here's what I think it is. Because I've looked at that a lot. I think that what it is that one person, so you know, like there's 2 headlights, right? That are beaming.
Mhm.
I think one person walked to the passenger side. So that's why you only see one flash. And I think the other 2 walked in front of one. So you see that walked in front of the second one, makes it look like 3 people. And then the third person walked in front of the first and the second light. So that's what makes it, because it happens too quick.
It's a shadow trick.
I think it is. That's why I put it negative, but I believe that it's 3 people. Now I know on the band field they say 4 or whatever, but my whole point is this. I'm working on things like these type of visuals, because if I don't have these, I can say whatever I want, but I can at least now show people that are like, okay, yes, there's a timestamp, but refer back to what I showed last night. How do you believe any of them? And I even did the
Exactly.
Linda Lane.
Yeah, I was looking at that too on Saturday and saying the same thing. I mean, I was thinking about this now that you said 3, but there was 4. Well, who's to say that somebody wasn't waiting? We saw
Or
that
died. What about
we
died?
we saw that red Mustang remember we saw the red Mustang in the side view mirror of the police car, right? Like when you're watching that Banfield footage and you slow it down, there's the police car, and right behind the police car in the side view mirror is that red Mustang pulling up, pulling around, pulling out. So who's to say there wasn't somebody that was waiting for them at that point? And that's why you see some of them ahead and some of them behind.
Right. And I have always wondered if those 4chan rumors are true about the unconscious person was actually one of the perps. I've always wondered that. You know, like the entirety of that call, I'm actually trying to forget about the 911 call while I go through this footage. Like I'm watching all of it,
Yeah.
and it takes a long ass time to do it, but I'm making a lot of notes on like sounds. I'm not even trying to go granular on what those sounds are, but there are loops. And like I said, watch all
So
of the footage on like, so what I did with the 1112, remember how I cut out all the non-activity and it made it very obvious that it was looping? Do you know what I
yes.
mean? Okay. When you watch it, any of the Linda Lane footage on like 3 or 4x speed,
Mhm.
you can hear it the
I
same
know.
way.
I did the same thing. I started with the Linda Lane on Saturday, and then I went to that one. So that's why I was like, I can't believe we figured out the same thing on the same weekend, and we weren't even talking to each other. Like that's, I don't know, what do you call that? Kismet, I guess. Like what is that?
Telepathy.
Yeah, fate. I don't know. That's so bizarre. That freaked me out so bad when you set a preview of what you were doing and I text you, I go, get the F out of here. I was doing the same thing this weekend and had that realization. I made my fiance videotape me when I was figuring this out and was like, it's looped sound. It's looped. And the I'm not saying either, by the way, that they're doing this because they're covering up for a murder happening at a different time. Okay, maybe, but what if it's just whatever was happening collectively beforehand? Like who was getting together, where they were meeting up, talking about plans. You know, you had the gunnery rack thing that we heard all in that audio. That was pretty clear in the Linda Lane footage. There's things that I'm wondering if it's looped around because a lot of the planning leading up into that 4 o'clock time space, like for example, Pav seems to be married to this time. And he has I'd say a good argument for why he thinks it happens in that time frame. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate or true, because he's just going by the documents instead of more so where I have a lot of problems with just believing whatever is written in a document. No offense. And because I can't trust the video and audio now that I know it's looped and fucked with, it's definitely fucked with. I'm not saying that they're just hiding it because they're screwing up the times of when they're murdered. What if there was some sort of other thing going on? Like the roommates leaving maybe, or Bren Kopaka coming in, or the officers who were patrolling around doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. I don't know. But the point is that this is looped around. There is fuckery going on with the surveillance.
Well, and to your point about Pav, let me just say this, like, nothing that I've ever said. I saw some comments about what I said the other day. I can promise you it was not about him at all.
I don't think you've ever said anything derogatory about him.
No, I like Pav. I think he does amazing work. I've shown his stuff on the stream a lot. And I think that, again, the way that I would just describe it is this. There's like two different types of brains for this case. There's like proving Brian Koberger didn't do it and that what they said happened is not as straightforward. And then there's like what I would say my brain is, which is
pattern recognition.
Pattern recognition. It's so go off the documents because you have to be able to wake everybody up. You have like I give him credit because, as in his own words, he has a curious mind. He has a mind that can go to those places. I know he can. He wouldn't be able to do what he's doing if it couldn't. But my point is this: is that I give him credit for being able to stay focused on what he said his denominator is, like the common denominator being the documents, and disproving it from that. Like I totally see the direction that he's going to do, to do this and to figure it out. And that is what it is. I'm just looking at it in a different angle. That's all.
I actually think that Pav does a great job of tying together the documentation, like from police, like Ann Taylor wasn't kidding when she said we're getting a snow globe of discovery. So every time documents have dropped, Pav has an encyclopedic memory that can remember at a fraction of a second and recall something that dropped months and months ago to something that was just released and realize these two things tie together. These two things back each other up or they clash, and that doesn't make sense. Or right? So like he's really good about that. Lana is really great at pointing out things that are true shenanigans when it comes to law enforcement corruption and pointing exactly out where they exist by painstakingly and poignantly going through every single document when it comes to the Idaho 4 or Karen Reed or any of the numerous cases she covers. And I like to think we do a little bit of each and learn and take from each other. So I just hope that the people who do their jobs really well don't sit here and poo-poo on people who are trying to say that like this actually exists. This audio and surveillance footage is actually fucked with, guys.
Well, right. And I also think too, there does come, and it might be cliche to say like an IQ aspect into when you can understand that people are working hard and they're putting out their own theory. That's the magic of it. That's them, dude. So stop shitting on them. Like if you have so much to say, guess what you can do? You have a channel. All you have to do is take this device that's in your pocket. You have to press the camera button and press record and say your thoughts and then hit upload. So it's not like
the only thing I don't like is when people don't give credit, like, or they don't like. True Crime Design just did a video on Erica Kirk. This is all stuff I've disclosed weeks ago. And I worked really hard to find this out. And I made the connections of like Erica, the Swedish Rite, her grandfather, Brigitte Macron, the Northern Star, the this and that. And all of a sudden she puts out this video with exactly everything I tied in. And then just gives zero credit. And I'm like, there's no way that, like, just say, oh, by the way, I was watching Sammy's videos and great. So glad she did all this work and research. It just, that's aggravates me.
It's always hard to know, where people.
Oh, please.
Well, you know my point of what I'm saying. I don't. It's I don't even know. It's one of those things where it's like, I think that in general people take shit and they get so emotionally attached. And I'm not saying it for the stealing thing. I'm saying in general, like crime cases, whatever it is.
I don't like that either. Or just
It's like,
my theory's right, your theory's wrong, or just have an open mind about it.
right. That's my whole point. And that's what, this channel is. I've actually, full transparency.
I love true crime design stuff. All I'm saying is she ripped off my shit. That's all. No big deal.
I mean, well,
I called her
dude,
out on it under her video and people said they knew. They're like, yeah, we watched your videos. We know.
what, where I have to pee. Tell them where you're at with the Charlie Kirk. I know you brought that up backstage that you wanted to bring that up. I'll be right back.
Well, recently I've been looking into, well, first of all, if we want to, where should I start? I've been researching her, since the Franz V connection seems to be the more Masonic connection in all of this. I was researching, her grandfather, Captain, Karl Franz V's children, and he has a daughter named Carla, and Carla is married to a guy named John Solomon. Now, John Solomon, I happen to find out, has very little about him online, but they live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And then I found out he was on the board of some Jewish center in ding, 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 Utah Valley University. And he sat on that board for years. There was a press release about it, I want to say in 1995 when he started it. So he's a hardcore Zionist, which no surprise there, because Erica took a lot of trips to Israel. That's where she apparently met Charlie. But of course, Charlie didn't know that. She saw Charlie in the snake of the ticket line. Beyond that, Candace Owens accepted doing a conversation with TP USA, and like the sniveling little shitheads that they are, told her at midnight yesterday on Twitter, not even an email, not even a text message, saying, you have to respond in 24 hours if you will be here tomorrow in Arizona at 5 p.m. Or I'm sorry, on December 15th at 5 p.m. in person. Candace Owens' show goes all these next 2 weeks, and then she takes a Christmas holiday. So she said, why can't we just live stream? We both have, just the way Birdie lives in a different place and I live in a different place, I can't be there in person that day. I have prior commitments. Can I just live stream with you? What's the difference? You just live streamed with your co-host who's on vacation or doing whatever the hell Andrew Colvett is doing. Who cares? This is 2025. And they said, in response to Candace saying yes to the conversation and yes to showing up on a live stream with them, send me the link. They said, no, we're just going to have the conversation without you now. So it obviously was a really bad look for them, and they're getting massacred in the comments on Twitter. I don't know how they're going to survive this. Who is going to pump millions of dollars into this absolute fraud? Another great person, I think it's called Project Constitution on Twitter, is dismantling the financials, dismantling them. So they claim that, oh, we always file the Form 990s. Well, guess what? They didn't. They just filed years worth of 990s on sometime in 2025, like years worth. And this guy's going through all the financials, and he's actually driving around Phoenix to the addresses of these LLCs. They're offshoring all this money, millions of dollars to, and it's a parking lot at a strip mall. So they have these addresses for their LLCs, which they're paying employees through an LLC. So that's like double dipping. And you're supposed to report that as compensation for employees. They're not doing that. Charlie, this is why he ordered the Doge audit the week before he
Were
was
you about
killed.
to say DoorDash?
DoorDash. I know I'm gonna there's so many cases. Yeah, Charlie called Molly McMichael and ordered a DoorDash, and then, but yeah. So they also found out this forensic accountant guy who's taking such an interest in this, and it's great. He said that the last or in 2023 they came up with an LLC or a PAC called TP USA America, and they started dumping donations into purchasing stocks, which Charlie didn't know about apparently. So this is all why they were doing this Doge audit. And Tyler Boyer is a lot of the head of who started all of these. There's another guy who has a ton of Ukrainian ties that was in Ukraine right before the assassination and right after. Now his name's slipping my mind, but he's the highest paid employee. Apparently his title is just marketing, and so we can't in advertising, and nobody can figure out why he's being paid $750 something thousand a year. And so this financial guy's looking into him, and he's saying, all I see him doing is traveling all over the world and going to Ukraine a lot. Why is he paying this guy this much? Who is this guy? And so there's a lot. There's a lot. They can't run from
he's
this.
marketing. He's marketing, all right.
Oh yeah, he's marketing. Weapons trafficking, I'm guessing.
Well, and I know you had kind of brought that up backstage. I'm not trying to completely go back to changing topics, just given last. Well, I was just going to say, like, given last night with all the footage and all that, the next thing that I'm going to do, I was working on it today, is I'm trying to figure out what the real passes are, right? So, like, you have all of that activity on 1112, but if only 2 or 3 of those have differences, that's a giveaway. Those are the real ones, right?
Yeah. We should bring up that PDF because it talks about anchoring sound audio or like
yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. It's just for whatever reason I had it. Well, you know what? Let me see if I can do it this way. Let me see if I can pull it up on a browser, because if I do it.
Oh yeah, I just sent you the PDF of it.
Yeah, if I do it as an attachment, it doesn't
okay, let me
go
see
full
what the
screen.
Website is.
No, I got it. Here.
Oh, okay.
Let me just do this quick. All right. 1 second. All right, here we go.
Dude, Leah Gen X said, I owe Sammy. I forgot how interested I was in Erica Kirk. Yeah, I know. I haven't stopped researching. And she reminds her of Dylan, bad vibes. I totally get that. I get that skin crawl.
Whatever that is, that skin crawl, dude, you can't help it. You get it. It is what it is.
I get it with Meghan Markle. I just do. There's a vibe of like phoniness about it that there's some people, a lot of celebrities give me the ick, and it's more than an ick though.
Oh,
there's
yeah?
like there's a darkness in their energy that I don't even know if you feel this way about people in real life, but sometimes you could just, it's almost like there's something about them and you don't know what it is. And maybe that's inherently crazy, but I don't know. It tends to pan out.
Well, I agree with that. You got to trust your gut. And so this PDF, I'm glad that I just thought to do this on the browser instead of the PDF, because
so much better.
Yeah. So this is video forgery detection for surveillance cameras, a review. Now, give us like the 30-second elevator pitch of this document, and then let's dive into specifics.
So this was like a collective of like some of the best people on intelligence and also figuring out what's real and not in the world of AI coming down the pike, because this is written, I think, like maybe last year or something. Basically, all these professors and technology experts got together and they made a really succinct paper about how to detect forgery in surveillance cameras. And we could just scroll down, but I'll like tell you when to stop when I get to parts that I think apply to the Idaho 4, because this one was the best one. And I actually looked up a bunch of different papers for this, and this was the one that I thought was the best. So the widespread availability of video recording through smartphones and digital devices has made video-based evidence more accessible than ever. Surveillance footage plays a crucial role in security, law enforcement, and judicial processes. However, with the rise of advanced video editing tools, tampering with digital recordings has become increasingly easy, raising concerns about authenticity. Ensuring the integrity of surveillance videos is essential, as manipulated footage can lead to misinformation and undermine judicial decisions. So the second I saw this abstract, I was like, I think this is the one that will help us, and for any tech sleuths out there, can actually take this themselves and try to figure out what's exactly manipulated, because we can, from our own observations of hearing and seeing what you presented, right, as manipulation. But if we want to get to the forensics of how it was manipulated,
Right.
this is how we do it.
Well, and let me just say this too. I had to be out in the field way later than I thought I had to today. But
Mhm.
this morning, I was diving into some responses about what I put out last night. And there's a giant aspect of when you manipulate footage and you stitch them together, anybody that edits videos, you're going to understand what's known as like compression rate, right? So if
Yeah.
you change the speed, if you change the lighting, that can change where something is by a frame. So 1 or 2 frames off and going back and forth to the same frames.
It's why in the Karen Reed case, when they flipped the video, okay, so, and also, by the way, the key words in this are CCTV, digital video
Yes.
tamping. So this is another reason why I knew this was so spot on for what we were talking about this week. But in the Karen Reed thing, they flipped the video, and then you see people almost apparating in and out of the garage, which, how is that possible? It's possible if you digitally altered the video.
Oh my God. Like, here, keep talking through this. Let me upload something and let me just show people just how insane it is. Not that
So,
people might
wait,
not
scroll
know.
down.
Okay. Tell me where.
Okay, keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Okay, so here's the um so okay, wait, stop. Go back up. Okay. Up. Okay. No, not this one. Up a little. Just active techniques. Oh, okay, yeah, that go down right there. Okay, so the active techniques. If a video's content has been altered, the encoded watermark or signatures changes, indicating that the video has been tampered with. The disadvantages of active methods are the need for particular hardware, such as cameras, and the requirement of embedding a digital signature or digital watermark during the recording stage, as illustrated on figures 4 and 5. So here, which is great, it gives you a visual. It takes you through the host image. So say that video camera footage on Linda Lane or whatever is taken, the watermark embedding algorithm, there's a watermark image and a key for that algorithm. The watermarked image is communicated to a channel. They extract, and so that gives you like a flow chart of how it's possible to change things. Okay, scroll down. So the watermarking process, and then it shows you, I don't know how to really explain that because I'm not a techie person, but basically that shows you how to change the watermark of an image.
Well, and
This isn't hard. Look
no,
at how
it's not.
easy this is.
I showed that last night, and I'm gonna show this here in a second. Now, for the sake of time, okay, this is just something that I was able to pull up very quickly. But when you want to see how much is really like blurred out and what do you want to say, like manipulated on the footage. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
trying to do two things at once.
Go ahead, take your time.
Let me show you this, because this is, I don't know how you can look at this and not understand that it's not hard to manipulate stuff, and there's footprints of manipulation. So as this is loading here, let me show you. This is from last night. Here is something that I was gonna or this is something that I did show last night. Watch. Let me share this. Okay, so this was like the exit or the entry. I'm not necessarily showing this, but here's my point.
Mhm.
Okay, when you put it in a negative filter, okay, when you put this in a negative filter and you play it, you really get a sense of just how much they use a light tool to blur it out, because there's points where, like, this is not natural. Look at that.
No. We said that when it happened. And we weren't sure, remember if it was
Oh,
even
and by the
reversed?
way, well, and by the way, these are exits and entries. So why do exit and entries have the exact same amount of light manipulation in them? Right?
Go back to the page 5 on that PDF, because this explains this sort of thing that they're doing.
Right. Okay. 1 second.
It's page 5. Okay, the spatial tampering. Yeah, you can scroll down a little. The original video spatial tampering. Forensic professionals have access to all sorts of information, artifacts, I can't see it. Artifacts or something. Artifacts or footprints to detect spatial tampering and localization. These details represented in table 1 that the techniques fall under the groups of techniques: deep learning techniques, camera source features techniques, pixels and source device techniques, compression techniques, and statistical features techniques. It should be classified, shown in figure 8, into copy move forgery, splicing forgery, and upscale crop forgery. So scroll down. The spatial forgery technique detention, the copy and move, the splicing, and the upscale. So spatial intraframe is tampering detection methods. The group of spatial intraframe forgery detection methods are listed below. So these are the methods, and the copy move is the most widespread form of digital image video tampering. An object can be inserted or deleted from a video scene using this sort of forgery. Simultaneously, it can be used to replicate video elements by copying a section of the video frame and pasting it anywhere, either within the same or separate frame. This procedure can popularly be used to hide the desired location in the frame. As a result, it also known as copy and paste or area manipulation forgery. Here's figure 9. You can go down. So that gives like an example of like
Yeah.
a cut, whatever. The splicing forgery, we know what that is, but it says this forgery is hard to identify as the generated video is compressed, resampled, and
Exactly.
blurred.
That's why.
Compressed, resampled, and verb. Beside, it has used for malicious purposes, thus developing trustworthy splicing detection tools to access the veracity of photos has emerged as a key challenge. But this is more for video. They have a harder time detecting it for videos than they do for photos. So this researcher, or these team of researchers, have developed several methods to identify splicing forgeries.
It's just it's insane because, you know, we can do it for photos and people think that it doesn't exist for video, but it
Which is
does.
which is why they brought up in the chat, the Hive brought up the SIM card bullshit about when they got the SIM card, what did they do with the SIM card, why did they copy it onto what exactly? It's just it's a lot of fuckery going on with the how they obtained the surveillance is my point. And the fact that like this PDF, and everybody should read this, by the way, themselves, just to get an idea of what's possible and what they haven't done yet to detect this forgery, which is insane to me, which is why I said
Well,
we should do it on our own. Because
well,
look,
watch this.
now it tells us
So-
how.
Right. You guys just saw me with one click remove that. Okay. Now watch this. Again, this is photos, but it's not hard to do with videos if you have this. So watch this. You can click this guy, click him, and click her. I will erase this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make this the background. Oops. I got to redo it.
Yeah, the hair in that group photo, that was that's something that always stuck in my craw. Is like, why? Where can I find the PDF? Can you tell? Oh, you're welcome, guys. Where can you give them the website name? Because I only have the PDF up.
I only have the PDF you emailed me, so I don't have the website either.
Okay, I'll find it for you. Give me 1 second.
The whole point of going over this, okay, it's like, look, I'm not trying to confuse anybody. Here is the best analogy that I will make. Go watch Saving Private Ryan. What year did that movie come out? I'll look it up, actually.
I want to say early 2000s. Like one, maybe?
1998. Look at the
Oh,
special
wow.
effects that they had in 98. Look at all of the other shit that they could do in Hollywood. I'm not saying that this is Hollywood, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if you don't think that law enforcement had access to this shit, or Hollywood didn't make a buck off of selling it to law enforcement, you're crazy. That is just the reality of the world. Look at the special effects that we see in movies every single day.
Okay, I'm going to put the link. Hold on. Copy, control.
Hang on. Okay, just do it. Let me finish this. So the other part about that whole special effects thing is, like, you ever watched a movie and been like, holy fuck, that looks realistic. Like when you see somebody get killed. You ever
Yeah.
seen that? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that that's what this is, but to think that you can't change a car driving is insane.
I know. I don't know why it won't let me copy. Like, wait, is it Command C? I always forget because I work on a computer all day that's not a Mac, and then when sometimes I forget how to. There it is. All right. Okay, so there's the paste. Comment has failed to post.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can post a link if you're not a mod.
Oh, okay. It's arxiv.org. Oh, it's like a whole thing. I don't know how. I'll send it to you in a private chat, Birdie. So that way you could post it for the Hive so they could read it themselves because it's pretty great. It's actually really great. It was everything that we were talking about and everything you were discussing, but just forensically breaking it down.
Part of me wonders.
So what's next? The gun Culvises are chirping up again.
Well, I was just going to say, part of me wonders, guys, like, people get so mad whenever I say this. And here's the link address in the chat. Oh, shit, I posted in the wrong one. people get so mad at me whenever I say this. I don't care. I don't care if people get mad, but think about how granular folks have gone into these documents. They keep
Mhm.
finding one thing after another. And I'll even say the same thing to myself. You look at the video footage, one thing after another. What are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at manipulation, but for
But
the
but
reason
but think about no. I'm going to say this, Sammy. Think about the level of manipulation. Like this is insane.
I honestly just put it on par with everything else in our entire I don't how do I explain this? I was okay, here. I was watching Stranger Things over the weekend. Came out with their final season, part 1. I love Stranger Things. And it hit me like a ton of bricks when they were talking about the upside down and how the woman who was in a coma in the show is in Henry's prison, she called it. And she's like, a beautiful prison is still a prison. I think that our reality has been so layered in, yes, a beautiful prison at times, but we just accept it and
Well,
we
don't
don't
ruin it. People are
realize
saying
it.
don't give a spoiler. Don't spoil it.
Oh, okay. I'm not spoiling it.
Okay.
But I'm my point is that I feel like we are on the cusp of that sort of breaking this upside down, that our reality is what they've given to us. It's this perception, and we have constantly over the decades lulled ourselves into, okay, it's okay now. And we talk ourselves out of it, and everything's fine, and it's all peaceful. And we lull ourselves into a safety and a everything's good for a little bit, and then something happens, and then we're shaken up again, but then we get lulled back, lulled back. Well, I think at least in my time frame, like since 2001, they have shaken us so much recently, and we have become so much more awake that this stuff, like the Idaho 4, is just one of, I think, so many things of a false reality that has been presented to us, whether it be Charlie Kirk, whether it be our government itself, whether it be these murder cases, our judicial system. I think we've all just been lulled into a false reality for so many years. And we're living in the upside down. Vecna, essentially, in Stranger Things, the Demogorgons, that is the controllers who've been doing a pretty good job of making us think that everything's pretty fine, just a couple of hiccups here and there. And it's actually not. It's actually all the upside down. And we don't realize our own power anymore. But I think we're starting to.
It's like, and to that point, okay, you know how if you watch other creators or just in general, if you're looking into this, they're still taking police reports. They're still looking at evidence. There's still names redacted. Okay. The fact that they're still collecting evidence after even the arrest, really, right?
Right.
Like this far after, especially the plea deal, especially after the sentencing, they either got the wrong guy or the story is collapsing right in front of our eyes. Like there's one of two things, or it's both. It could be both. Not only did they get the wrong guy, the story of what they thought happened, in addition to arresting the wrong dude, is not right. Do you know
Well,
what I mean?
if what we think happened with that leak is the fact they're pre-bunking things, then the whole story is wrong. Because then that means the whole story they're going to be telling us is not going to be right. So they need to make people distrust things that they see and hear. You wouldn't make the public distrustful. You wouldn't back away. You wouldn't give such limited information. You wouldn't keep the parents at arm's length.
Unidentified DNA.
You wouldn't tell the kids to go home for Thanksgiving and don't worry about it if the story was what what you're saying it is. And I
Well,
think this Idaho 4 is just a microcosm of, like I said, when I was watching Stranger Things, it's just this larger awakening of, no, we're not living in the upside down anymore.
It's like, if they wanted to keep us busy, it's working perfectly. You know what I mean? Every phase of this has worked perfectly, dude.
I think we've gotten places where we're headed, and we've been headed in the right direction. Like, I definitely think this was a larger plot, more of a targeted hit. There was definitely some sort of vengeance element to this for some bigger thing that was going to be exposed. But I just have a hard time with what to do about the judicial processes of all of this, because it really feels like the courts, like, this was a public thing. Why are we fighting? This is a public trial. Our judicials, it's over. So why are they, oh my God, at a painstaking level, dropping the documents now that the case is over in this slow drip and drab? So by the time we inhale all that information, now we're seeing that instead of giving audio files, they're giving audio transcripts. Like, I want the audio file, you motherfuckers. I don't want you to transcribe audio for me. Give me the audio file. Give me the audio file. I'm a taxpayer. Stop it. And it's just sick. And the fact that they're still trying to seal stuff is outrageous. It's just outrageous.
You know,
You're not the FBI. Like, by the way, it's bad enough our federal government and federal courts do this constantly, and it's just widely accepted. I mean, the last stop between, say, for example, like today, the bomber, the January 6th pipe bomber gets arrested, apparently. If you read through that criminal complaint, it is so bizarre. It gives nothing to the lead up of it. Nothing. And it also, they didn't do it by a grand jury. They did it by a judge. So basically, the FBI in Washington can go to a federal judge, lay out their case, a lower court magistrate judge, and just say, here's what we have. And because they're the FBI, do you think judges are going to be critical of what they're saying to the judge? No. They just basically sign the indictment or sign the arrest warrant and say, go pick him up. So that's what we have with the pipe bomber right now. This is ridiculous. Judges are supposed to be that last line of defense between if the FBI is going to feed you a bunch of bullshit. Grand juries can go back and forth with the FBI during those proceedings. They can ask questions. And if they choose not to sign that and say, we don't think you have enough here, that hardly ever happens, I'm sorry to say. But I hate the whole idea of a grand jury and these magistrate judges, these lower court judges, just being able with one signature to buy without any pushback, the same way Brian was indicted. I just, and then when you find out that most of the stuff that was written in the probable cause that you sent to a judge, that you sent to a grand jury, was a bunch of BS, you don't get a Franks hearing. You can't challenge the indictment. You just have to sit there.
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude, is like, do you know how, okay, one, do you know how not normal that is?
It's not how
Right?
it's not how our system was supposed to be.
But it's also not normal. Even in our
No.
system, it's not normal. And then, like, people shame you for talking about Dylan. Okay, Dylan heard crying, hears somebody say, someone's here.
Mhm.
Running down the stairs, thuds, opens her door multiple times, sees the killer, didn't call 911. That's not normal. So there's like three things. She's
Mhm.
either drugged, knew the attacker, or is like terrified into silence. That I don't know what other option there is. And I'm not saying terrified, like we know that the response was not just like the frozen shock. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some other fear. It's not just
Well, that's
frozen shock.
That's the craziest part, though, is like, how could Hitler look at that probable cause affidavit when he was deciding to have a Franks hearing or not? And if you listen to her first two interviews out the gate when she's in the street talking to both detectives, okay, and she's retelling her story, which was pretty consistent, I will say, the first two times she told it. She was pretty quick and, she was a little unsure. But then when she had to sit down with Detective Gooch is when the train ran away from the station and she knew nothing and couldn't be sure of anything. And all of a sudden, everything became a question mark. I maybe did, I maybe didn't. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But it was pretty certain in those first two interviews in the street. So something must have happened, in my opinion, between the time she was talking in the street with the cops when it all first popped off and she was telling her story to those two police officers to the time she had to go sit down with Detective Gooch, because that's when she really got fuzzy. And
Well,
so I don't know what happened between those times, but what I do know is somebody was personally speaking with her from the police department. Somebody was
or it could have been a
personally
lawyer.
texting her. No, they were. There's messages. They said that there's messages between her and detective, I forgot who, and she was talking to him. So did they tell her to say something? Is that why Detective Gooch no longer was interviewing her? I don't know. But something happened between those first two interviews and that one.
Well, and clearly whoever did this, they are familiar with the house. This was planned. This was deliberate. This was targeted rage, right?
Right.
The survivors or the surviving roommates, their behavior indicates this is not random as well, right?
Yeah.
There's a deeper knowledge. There's suppression of information. There's something happening behind the scenes. The only physical link to Brian Koberger is a single touch point of DNA. Okay. Think about this. Cell phone tower data is not conclusive at all. The white car is not unique. There's no connection. You have a single point of DNA. Excuse me. In my opinion, trying to show that Brian Koberger didn't do this, if you've looked into this, it's like we need to stop worrying about people saying, you're an idiot. There's so much evidence. That's the biggest giveaway. They have no idea what they're talking about. So whatever, that's fine. I don't care anymore. Brian didn't do this. He wasn't the getaway driver.
No.
None of that shit.
And by the way, they could have had the timing advance reports, the lies they told about that 7-day rule. I have showed in multiple videos on my TikTok, the FBI's own manual talks about the centers that they use and the special liaisons police officers have, state and local, with the FBI in murder trials, where what the abilities they have and how long cell phone carriers, the FBI has the availability to get all these reports. It's not a secret. So the fact that they said, whoops, shucks, 7 days, guess we missed it, that's a lie. And Ann Taylor knew that was a lie, but here's what I'm going to say. Hitler prevented all that. He wouldn't let her have Cy on to talk about exactly what the FBI had, that they had the timing advance reports, and most likely, by the way, gave it to Bill Thompson, and they buried that shit. And then also, which would prove he wasn't in the area. And they also, Hitler didn't allow, harassed her DNA expert, by the way. Remember, the FBI showed up at Riley Nolan's house? That was fun during the preliminary hearings after she testified about the touch DNA. That was great.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'll ask the Hive as well. Type of 1 for yes, type of 2 for no. Let's do a little experiment here. I'll put the comments up on the screen. Okay. Type of 1, again, for yes, 2 for no. Do you think that in the footage that we have, whether it's all manipulated or not, just the footage as is and the court documents as is, we are ever going to figure out the truth?
I don't know if they're gonna let us is the point. Like, even if
That
we figure out the truth, it's kind of like who killed Tupac? Does anybody care if we figure it out? Is anybody gonna do anything about it? Did anybody go from the FBI to talk to Candace about the threat of the French government paying an assassin to kill her? Is
so
my
let me
point. It's like, are they gonna do anything? Probably not.
so there's some people that say yes. Most are saying no. My point is this. We might be able to if we start to talk about stuff that everyone says is a conspiracy. That might make the court documents and the footage make more sense. For example, what is going on in the background that nobody is talking about? And I'm not talking just about court cases. I went so deep on the funding again, and I'm not talking predictive criminal behavior. Dude, I have a bombshell. And I sent my mods this today. I found funding that is going to blow people's. If you got a dick, it's going to blow your dick off. Okay. If you don't, I don't know what it's going to blow your hat off your head. But
I like my vagina. I'll keep it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, you get my point. It's crazy because there has to come a point where we have to look at stuff, even the lawsuit to WSU.
Well, I'm excited for that.
But you're not going to find out what you think you're going to find out. Because
I don't know. Discovery is a funny thing. Civil litigation is a lot more open in discovery than criminal.
But do you think it's going to be more detailed than all the shit we've gotten already?
It could possibly be when it comes because of subpoena power. So
we're going to get.
So you get depositions. Yeah. Depositions. You get to the same way, like, for example, all the people they subpoena, they can't say Hitler can't be up there and be like, no, you're not allowed to talk to that person. Nope. Ray can't get up and tell him what he knows. No, we can't hear.
This is also WSU though. Remember that.
Right. But it doesn't matter. They can subpoena anybody they want. If the action goes through and they're successful, which they will be, they get depositions. They have to sit down. They will get served. They could serve whoever the fuck they want. And those people have to sit down and make time for depositions. And whoever they hire, I hope it's good lawyers. I would be very careful if I were the parents for who comes up and says, I want to do this for free, because that's a plant. And I also think too, Hitler, one of the more shameful things he did was say no to the third party culprit. If you're on trial for your life, and he used this thing in Idaho they have is the direct connect doctrine, and you are up there as a judge and saying that there's no other direct connection to anybody when we have other people's blood on the scene, you're insane. Like, how are you supposed to defend yourself in a criminal trial if you're taking away his ability to put on a defense? Literally taking an axe and just saying, nope, sorry, it's not direct enough for me. What would you need? What would you need, Hitler? You want a guy running around in a Jason mask? You fuck.
Yeah. Well, and where I'm going with that whole thing though, Sammy, is like, if it ends up not being for the criminal stuff, ultimately at the end of the day, what they're suing for is that WSU created the conditions that brought Brian Koberger to that campus. So I always thought, like, okay, they have this predictive criminal behavior study going on. I know we've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sneak peek into the bombshell.
Yay.
What if I told you, because that started in 2018, Koberger showed up in the middle of that funding. But what if I told you that today I found out of funding that started in the beginning of the year of 2022?
So what's the program that was in 2018?
Well, okay. So the funding in 2018 was the NIJ, which is the same people that I'm about to say.
Right. I remember this.
It's the research grant, or it's the research arm of the DOJ. It was for predictive criminal behavior in emerging adults in a non-clinical setting. It was like $2 million. Okay.
Okay. I'm writing this down because I want to look.
I'll send you it all.
Oh,
I just want to get through this. So that was, and Koberger shows up in the middle of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I always thought. But then I started thinking predictive criminal behavior, like that's AI potentially, that's like geofencing. It's all stuff that they use. But I'm like, there's a different aspect to this. So I started going back through the NIJ grants. And this is, again, just a sneak peek. I'm not going to do this all before I have visuals, but the Criminal Justice Department at WSU in 2022 got a grant for, quote, I honestly, I don't even know if people are ready for this. This is insane. They got a grant in 2022 for, quote, psychological stress thresholds of crime scene investigators.
What?
And I'm going to go into all that. When I tell you that I've been busting
How
my
much?
ass, well, I'm not going to share that yet.
Oh yeah,
I'm going
don't
to
share
share it
that
all.
yet. Yeah.
When I tell
Well,
you that's like, I'm changing. I'm not rebranding the Hive. The Hive is power to the collective, but I'm done letting people tell me that I'm just some idiot that's a conspiracy thing. Like last night, like I've never seen anybody put that much work into any footage ever. And I am going to toot my own horn on that.
you should.
Nobody did that shit. And I'm telling you, I know what I'm fucking talking about with this.
Do you know when we had that conversation and I said to you, I said to you, this is so important, Birdie, because what you did here when he sent me this before he did the show, I said, I don't want a single person to be able to shit on, to be able to come out and just use any tiny aspect of anything you're presenting and blow it up that you're just this mindless conspiracy theorist. I want this so succinct. I said, the most important thing I want you to do, make it as visual as possible, blow up those timestamps, make it super concise, make it so there is no way anybody can sit there and say that what you're doing is just ranting and raving online about conspiracy theories. And you blew it out of the park. I was so impressed. I was like, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that because that's one thing that I've stopped giving my disclaimer that we're the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists because full transparency, I did that in a way to let people know this is exactly what you're walking into. But really, is it even conspiracy tinfoil hat when we have people that they're reading all the court documents and they're giving these theories. And I'm like, you're speculating the same way that I am, but you're not saying that you're the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. So you have some sort of credibility as I'm looking into the shit just as much as you are. So I'm done saying that. I'm done playing around.
And they're also taking from your audience, which I don't love. To me, it's like, I don't love when people that I don't think there was anything wrong with your intro because I think people should be secure enough with their own work. And if they like you as a person and they like your audience, then why are you ashamed or denigrating or somehow saying like, okay, I'll attach to you for this, but I just go on this sometimes and I'm just, well, I don't like it. It doesn't make me happy to see that.
I've worked way too hard to let it be written off by the fact that I'm saying it myself, that this is the conspiracy theorist, because it's different. You know what? Everybody's just, I'm just done with it. It's the Hive is going to stay the Hive with the power to the collective, but fuck that. We're not dumbasses.
Birdie always says to me, like, he's like, you need to make your own channel and like do this and I could do all that. And I was like, yeah, when I get around to it. I just love to do it. I just love to be there with everybody and just do it because I love it. And if I make money doing something someday, great. I did it with another podcast for years and I was happy with it. But I just genuinely love giving you flowers and I think you deserve it. And
thank you.
Yeah, you do.
Well, and you bring a lot of value. You're one of the best, if not the best researcher that we have. I love
researching.
You're great at it. You're very talented. And I really appreciate that. You guys are going to see a change on the channel. That's going to be nothing but for the better. I'm going to still speculate. I can't change who I am. I'm just done letting myself discredit myself because it makes other people uncomfortable in their lack of the ability to critically think is ultimately what I'm saying. I'm done making people feel secure by
I'm
me
with you.
discrediting myself. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you in that opinion. I also think with that WSU grant, in the predictive programming and the other programming that I'm not going to talk
I'll
about
read
it
it again just so people understand what it is. It is, quote, psychological stress thresholds of crime scene investigators. And in addition, so that was funded in part by the NIJ, but there's a huge other department that will, again, if you have a dick, it's going to blow your dick off.
So what this reminds me of, and if anybody wants to research and go back, the CIA had been doing psychological experiments like this and getting grants like this, which is what came out of the Stanford prison experiment, remember? And then they were also doing experiments and they were having infiltrators of Marxist groups. Oswald was somebody the CIA contracted back in the 50s. And he, because he spoke Russian, was contracted for special operations to infiltrate Moscow groups. And the deputy director of the CIA, Dulles was the director. The deputy director was, I'm going to forget his name.
What year was it?
It was in the 50s, but Dulles's deputy director was Engels. Thank you.
Engels.
I'm
Yes.
thanking myself. Engels, he had been monitoring Oswald for years and years and years. And this is also coming out in the recent Kennedy documents, which goes back to Daniel Sheehan's thing, which I talked about before. And you can go on my YouTube channel, and I actually uploaded a video about this, where the CIA running these grants and these so-called programs really created like useful patsies for whatever they wanted to plug into for certain things and constantly get funding. And they just, do you know what I'm saying? And it was a great cover. So the CIA is great at covering themselves in rings, whether it's an NGO ring or it's a grant for research ring, or if it's a charity ring or whatever it is, but they cover themselves in rings. And they actually contracted the American mafia for a hit squad. I mean, this shit is real. And to say that it's not, and to pretend that somehow we just, even though the 60s were bad, and yeah, we did all that psychological experiment and Operation Mockingbird, Monarch, assassination squads, that's all over with, guys. We don't do that anymore. Lies. If anything, they've gotten so good at it, and they're just mad we're noticing.
Well, and it's insane. And I don't want to just get on a high horse. I want to finish, not even finish. I want to just say this, because this morning when I was going through comments for last night, because I was curious what people's reactions were, somebody had said this. Okay, I see a lot of shit comments sometimes. This one, it was like, I tried to watch this at work and I cut the person's name off just so they don't feel attacked. But I stood up for you. Also stood up for DI. I feel like I was personally attacked for it. This creator looked straight into the camera and said, "What does that say about you listening to someone like that?" And you want to know what's crazy to me? I've never said that about another person. I've never not had my screen shared. I've never shown anything that isn't on freaking Google. All that I've done is speak my mind. So I don't know who this creator is. I don't really care to know. My point is this. This doesn't bother me, but what it does do to me is it motivates me. So to that creator that says, "What does that say about you listening to someone like that?" Well, I will guarantee you that this person will still be listening to me years from now, and your sorry ass is going to be washed up because you talked like that.
Why do you think Candace Owens is the #1 podcast in the world, and people like Tim Pool are crying about their listeners and blaming a fake smear campaign with bots because they don't have the same amount of subscribers? It's insane. The truth wins every time, or people in search for it.
And it's like, I just say conspiracy, again, to make people feel better about themselves. That's it. It's the only reason I ever did it. To say that I'm not bringing receipts. Okay. So you know what? There's enough people looking at documents. I'm going to dive into the footage. I'm going to continue that because I've put way too much effort and hours into that. But I'm going to start talking about things that we all or the majority of us know that go on, like funding, like things that happen in the background that aren't just parallel crime cases, but that explain all the moving parts that are real. And just because you don't know that they exist doesn't mean that what I'm saying is bullshit. You can look it up too. I share my screen the entirety of every stream. So when I talk about this funding, wait till I break down what this is about. Not only do we have, again, the criminal predictive behavior or predictive criminal behavior, now we have the psychological stress threshold. Stress, that's a tongue twister.
Blah, blah, blah.
Psychological stress thresholds of crime scene investigators. And then you throw Brian Koberger's paper into the mix, and you throw just WSU and the whole criminology department. Like, I'm not saying that this was fake.
Right.
What I am saying is that the technology does exist to fake it. Let's not forget about that.
Right.
That's a fact, dude. And if I don't know what else to say, it might piss people off. I'm not saying
Why
that
it's worth looking into.
that's what I mean. Everybody else is looking into the other shit. And I if I try to, it's like, oh, he doesn't know anything, even though whatever.
Well,
fine.
that's the whole point of like what saying that, oh, everybody's has their own niche pretty much, but like the niches that people don't have, why not? I'm posting my channel because people don't know it. I don't really post that many at my thing. I really don't post that many videos on YouTube. I mostly am on TikTok. Like that's where I have my most subscribers, guys. So sorry. I really don't post that much on YouTube, but there's some stuff there.
Yeah, check out. It's quite frankly, Samantha. You have the fucking craziest username.
I gotta
Quite
change it.
Frankly, just change it to Sammy T Mafia.
I know it's because my old podcast was called Quite Frankly, a podcast about Howard Stern, which is still super popular and all the replays. It still has like thousands and thousands of views, but that channel still exists. Quite frankly, a podcast about Howard Stern. I interviewed a lot of the old cast members and producers and comedians and stuff on the Howard Stern show, and I'm still friends with them to this day. Actually, I just was talking to Billy West again.
Oh, nice.
So, I love him. If anybody knows who Billy West is, he was the person who voiced Ren and Stimpy. He did the voices in Space Jam. He also did voices for Futurama still to this day. He's all these characters. Yeah, Billy West is amazing.
So, and I'm not discrediting that. I know Billy West is great. He plugged our channel on Twitter or X.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still not used. I'm still not used to saying X, but all right. Closing thoughts. What do you got?
My closing thoughts is we need to stop letting the Vecnas of the world control us. We need to get out of the upside down, and I think the Hive is the way to do it.
Exactly. I agree with that. And I think that my closing thoughts are this. Buckle up for the next few streams. Like I said, next Wednesday will blow your mind. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on at 9 p.m. The other thing that I'm going to start to do going into the new year and continuing is I'm going to have a stream where all I do is literally just a Q&A. Okay, so it'll just be much more informal. It'll be me with a chat, constant comments up on the screen. I think that's important. And I think what that also allows me to do is to not feel like I'm rushed to put visuals out there a couple nights a week. And I can really, like what I did yesterday.
You just killed
You know what I'm
it.
saying?
And I can't wait for the I think you taking the time to do that and maybe not just like guess, and then really focusing on that. It was so succinct, Birdie. It was erudite. It was perfect.
Ooh, what does that even mean?
Like precise.
Thank you. I'm just done letting people that I'm like, whatever, bother me. They don't bother me. That's the other hardest part is like, it doesn't bother me, but I'm just like, it makes you feel some type of way where you're like, I'm doing it to myself with that damn disclaimer. So I need
now
to get
that
a
you
new
came
disclaimer.
up with that realization, move on. And now just that was then, this is now.
Right. So welcome to the Hive Mind. we are the smartest chat on the internet. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you should look into it. That might be the new disclaimer.
Well, guys, it was so good to see all of you. I love everybody except for
Yes.
HVAC because you're a jerk.
Aw. Who is it?
I don't
H-Jack?
know, H Horvac, vac something.
Well, with that, Hive, I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to do usually Fridays are a live dig. So 9 p.m. tomorrow. Sammy, thank you so much for popping up again. Sorry, Hive, if my voice is all weird. My throat is
You did good.
screaming. Thank
Go
you.
gargle.
Pause. I need to.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So anyways, I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you, Sammy. You rock. And Hive, I'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.